Hello everybody and welcome back to the Hollyoaks video of the week. This video we're going to talk about the Darren and Nancy storyline that's currently going on. I'll explicitly say what happens after the minute mark because YouTube, but let's just say Darren cheated on Nancy. We're going to talk about the general ramifications of what this means, about some of the scenes that took place in this episode, and all in all, just how it generally feels. As Hollyoaks is just starting its new big storyline, how are they going to follow up the Frankie and JJ storyline? Funny YouTube. How are they going to follow up that storyline with something more dramatic, something bigger, something better, something involving two bright young stars again? And this one focused on Dylan and Frankie, which, you know, I had some reservations for as a fan, as Frankie's probably my favourite character as a whole. Not as obsessed with her as the Stans are, but still, nonetheless, I still do really like the character. So, getting worried for the future. And Dylan, who I kind of like, but also the Stan culture goes the other way for me. Well, I like Lucas, I like Dylan, I like their relationship. Equally don't like them as much as the Stans do. We are classic. So, and in this week, Frankie goes to a party. She goes to a party at Dylan's... Well, that was last week. Last week, Darren went to a party that Frankie was also at. And at the end of the night, he ended up in bed with Kat, who has seemingly been human trafficked, or at least is being held... You know, her son's been taken away from her. She has been involved in some dodgy stuff. And Rex was trying to protect her, but has now just decided that he's taken away her access to her son unless she helps him. And him being Rex and her being Kat. So now we have Kat, who also played a relatively similar role. I think she played a role in grooming Bethany in Coronation Street, if you remember that storyline. Or at least that's what the screenshots people suggested. And at that party, they have a little heart-to-heart, Kat and Darren, as he gets really drunk and he wants to prove, because he's worried about her and he's worried about why Kat would be hanging around. And still, Kat's been hanging around a bit much, and Darren's like, this is a bit weird. This is a little bit strange. I'm not sure how I feel about you hanging around my daughter. You're not even the same age. And this while Nancy has been worried since Christmas. She's been hiding some secretive phone calls and he's been hiding some stuff from her. And the night of their engagement, Robbie exposes that Vicky exposes that Robbie tried to kiss her, but she framed it as Nancy seduced Robbie. Bloody hell. It's all in there, boys. It's all in there. So, point being, Darren went to the party, got really drunk, ended up chatting to Kat. And Kat said, you know, you're the only man who's ever made me feel safe. Isn't it funny how fate has led us back together? And I don't remember if she tries to go for a kiss or not. And I'm pretty sure he's like, no, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. And Frankie, out of her face, the next morning, finds Darren and Kat in the same bed. And Kat has stripped off. She is naked, and Darren's mostly naked. And then he claims innocence. She's like, I didn't do it. There's no way I would have cheated on Nancy. Oh, not again. And Kat just tell her that nothing happened. But Kat simply says, that's not what happened though, Darren. We slept together. And it perpetuates as Frankie believes. Basically, it's a really rotten situation. And it's why that these characters, like, I don't know how they're going to have Rex or Grace come back from this. Because they are involved in some serious shit. They are involved in some serious human trafficking, sexual exploitation, all of this stuff. Or at least we're heading to that direction. Like, how are you going to bring those characters back from the edge, you know? How? It's bizarre. And it kind of paints an interesting question where if you frame it up like this, there's a real lack of consent here. And, some people have taken the angle that, if it, like, it's important to say, and I know people usually say this are using it for nefarious reasons, but if you put it in for different reasons, if you frame it slightly differently, and Darren claims that him and Kat slept together when Kat has no memory of it, imagine how outraged everybody would be, because then it would be an issue of consent. But because it's Darren and he's had these tendencies to cheat on his partners before and does make these decisions, it's just kind of pawned off. But I will say, Hollyoaks, they did kind of address it in a way where Rex says, yeah, a lie like that doesn't work with a lot of people, so amazing that it worked. So, in a way, it's kind of a really dirty... It's a very dirty, disgusting kind of trick. And it worked because you have a lot of people really upset about this. And yeah, I'm still not sure how to feel. I think it's just it's a grimy storyline, and it's going to be gritty and dark, and it's going to be quite sad. So I guess that's just the first real notch in the cap where it's like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. And but it also doesn't help. I'm also a Darren. I'm a big Darren fan, and I'm like, no, because Frankie believes Kat, and she chooses to believe her dad, her friend, over her dad, and this continues. And Frankie gives Darren an ultimatum: you either tell Nancy or I will. So, okay. But in the meantime, Ro is still being bullied by Arlo, the little shit. And in a result, Ro pulls out a knife, and somehow in the scuffle, Oscar heads up to give Arlo his coursework. Oscar gets stabbed in the leg, which leads for Nancy and Darren and Frankie to all go to hospital and make sure Oscar's okay. It's kind of funny, this is it feels like the first time Oscar's been seen in months, and what's he do? He gets stabbed. Bloody hell. Poor Oscar. Everybody hates Oscar, apparently. But continuing it forward, though, Frankie still argues with Darren, and they can't really move past it, so Frankie goes to Dylan like, hey, that spice you've been smoking, I need it. Give it to me. And it also kind of, once again, because it's a character that a lot of people care about, it is very sad. And it is sad to see someone on substances. And because you just see, it's not like, I'm not against drug use. A really weird statement to make in this Hollyoaks video. I'm not against drugs. I'm not against drug use. Fundamentally, if you do it in a controlled, safe environment and it's just recreational, all the power to you. I mean, people do it with alcohol all the time, and, alcohol kills a lot of people every year. So, within reason, within a nice, controlled, safe place where you're in no real danger and there's no real adverse effects. Obviously, this doesn't come into abuse, like abusing it or addiction. But seeing Frankie so off her face, wandering around, and especially with Dylan as well, just completely out of it, it's just hard to watch, because it's people trying to cope with a stressful situation by using illegal substances. Like spice as well. I could understand a bit of weed. A bit of weed, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, smoke that. Smoke that, homeo. Oh, spice? Nah, man, that turns you into a zombie. Or that's what people say. My record's not squeaky clean. You don't fuck with spice. You don't. It's not worth it. And seeing all these characters completely out of it, it's just a really hard watch. Kat claims she cares for Frankie because she finds her off her face. But Frankie, it is then revealed that she left a little message on the fridge saying Darren is a cheater. And this is Darren and Nancy are struggling to deal with Oscar. Oscar's awake, but Oscar's like fine and safe, but in the end, there is a chance that his hearing, like his cochlear implant, was damaged. So there's a chance that maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't work anymore. You know, maybe his hearing, maybe he's not going to be able to really, you know, like if you're used to at least hearing something, it's just a struggle. Just a struggle. But yeah, and then you get a conversation where Nancy doesn't let anything slide with Darren. Darren and Frankie kind of talk about it, and he's like, why the fuck would you do this to me? Like, I get that you were upset, but come on now. But Nancy saw the sign. She saw the thing on the fridge and proceeded to ask Frankie and be like, look, I've been here before. Me and Darren have been here before. He's cheated on me before. I know the signs. Everybody thought I was stupid when I took him back this time. But still, is he cheating on me? And Frankie, she says what she knows. She says, Darren says Dad said he doesn't have any memory of it. But still says you woke up in a bed with Kat. She wants to know the name. And unfortunately, all Frankie can really say is, as far as I know, it doesn't look good. And you get some really sad, like, Nancy scenes. Like, honestly, in terms of the people they kept, Darren and Nancy were top tier for me, and they just keep delivering. And as much as they keep, like, they keep messing with each other, all in all, fundamentally, Darren and Nancy are soulmates, and they are meant to be together, and they are a powerhouse. So it's always good when you get Darren and Nancy stuff. I'll say that much. But it just leaves a really bitter taste in your mouth, because obviously we as an audience, it's the dramatic irony that we know that nothing happened, but from what everybody's seen, all the evidence suggests the opposite. So it's, you know, a character who's being held against these things that he didn't do, but nobody's gonna believe him because of his history. You know, if the boy cries wolf and then the wolf attacks him one day and nobody's there, unfortunately, you've just cried wolf too many times. And unfortunately, Darren hasn't really earned the trust again after all of his misdeeds. I've seen some really... I saw a mental take. Mental in terms of, like, wild. Why someone's like, yeah, you know what? Fuck Darren. He abandoned her. It's like, he didn't have a choice in, like... If anything, Darren has been Frankie's biggest support. When her mum turned her back on her, when her brother was the abuser, when Nancy wasn't allowed to be there, Darren stepped up and supported Frankie the entire way. So there's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way that, like, Darren... Like, yeah, sure, Darren, he did abandon her when she needed him, but he came back. But still, just some really sad scenes with Nancy. You know, I hope that it all gets quashed, but unfortunately, it's a way to isolate Frankie even more and more. Like, especially because the most awful stuff was how... I think Kat kind of went, oh, you know, the way Darren tried to control you is just like your brother. It's like, oh. So it's just that tactic of isolating someone from their family and grooming them so you can then get them to do what you want. Which, as said before, I think it will be handled well, and I think it will be a really good storyline, but equally, it's going to be an awful one to watch in terms of, like, emotionally. It's going to be a very hard one to watch. Not because it's bad, but because it's going to be so well done. In terms of other stuff that happened this week that I don't really want to make a big deal out of, the the Freddie and Vicky secret has finally been exposed as after Robbie bought Freddie the garage and he made him his best man for the wedding. Freddie just kind of snaps and says, "Hey, look, Robbie, mate, the baby was mine. It's not yours. It was my baby. Your pain is not your pain. It's mine." And this is kind of, the glass house of Vicky. A big old stone has been thrown at, and it's just crumpled. Those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Not that she's thrown any stones, but she was kind of playing it risky. She was enjoying the danger, enjoying having both, like, two men clamoring over her. It was, yeah, like, she had she was playing too close to the fire and got burnt, essentially. And honestly, I hope we generally move forward with it. I wouldn't be surprised if Vicky and Robbie get back together. But honestly, I would like for it to stop cycling the same direction. Like, it feels like there should be someone new in to get to be with Vicky and actually have the life that she wants rather than the life that she's kind of there. Because, like, the two eligible bachelors are Robbie Roscoe and Freddie Roscoe. Two people who are maybe not, like, double her age, but, they're not really in the same age bracket. I know age gaps are a thing, but still, it kind of, it's a bit odd to me. I'm not entirely enjoying it, but I do like how Vicky's just kind of been like, yeah, fuck it, who cares? I'm having fun. That's all I want. I'm getting the princess treatment from Robbie, and I'm getting the that treatment. I'm getting that treatment from Freddie. Like, you got the best of both worlds. We also see Dylan still grooming Rex into, I have all these favors. Here's the house. Here's the spice. You lost my money. Well, you better get that $5,000 back that I definitely didn't lose at your house. Just getting him indebted and forcing him to show how far he'll go. This is Dylan extorting Vicky for money, which Robbie paid for. Once again, just similar stuff to Frankie, really. It's a bold choice. I think Dylan is definitely ready to step up to the plate and have another big storyline. But yeah, and anything else happen? Steve got a new cat called Fernando, and it seems like Jez may have killed the cat. So classic Jez. But yeah, there we are. That's the Hollyoaks video for the week. Did you like it? Did you not? Tell me in the comment section down below. Only if you liked it, though. I have a big ego and have no real way of handling criticism. Is that a joke? Yes, it is. Tell me what you thought about the episode. Tell me what you think about the Darren-Nancy potential split. I don't think they'll split up, but I don't want it to go there. I don't want it to go there. But we are inevitably going to get there because of how Frankie has been isolated from her family, and maybe there'll be some problems. Darren was already kind of brutally honest with her, like, why would you do that though? Why would you do that? That's my marriage. But still, all in all, decent week of Hollyoaks. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Join me in the next one. See you then. Bye bye.